the line, the Gulf Stream. I've been in Tampa Bay, around the horn, and home again, 'cause that is the sailor's way.
Welcome back to the Old Colony Cast, a podcast about all things Plymouth and surrounding areas. That's what we're about. So I'm here today with Fish.
Oh, crap. Hello.
And Hanna.
Hello.
Hanna, welcome back to the show. So today we were discussing online what we were going to be talking about, and you suggested The Rock. And unfortunately, it was not the Nick Cage movie or the wrestler. We're going to talk about Plymouth Rock.
Yeah, I like to point out too. I've noticed just the locals call it The Rock, and everyone else calls it Plymouth Rock.
Yeah,
Really?
I've never
Yeah.
called it The Rock.
What? What do
I'm
you
not
call
local.
it? Plymouth Rock? Oh, okay, that makes sense. See,
I don't live down here.
still following the
Yeah,
rules.
but you're not
I
that
just-
far.
I'm apparently far. I'm
Really?
outside of
No,
he calls it The Rock
Every
area.
yeah, whenever. So I used to be a pedicab driver
Yeah.
off Water Street, and everyone would come up and say, "Where's Plymouth Rock?" And I've just always called it The Rock.
The Rock.
Yeah, we're
That's
on
interesting.
like a better.
We're on like a first name basis. What's up, Rock?
Yeah.
So here's the question: at what point do we start calling it Dwayne? I'm sorry that. Yeah, move on.
Well, you kind of ruined my entry joke.
Did I?
Mine or his?
You.
Yes.
We're going to talk about The Rock that raised more eyebrows than Dwayne Johnson.
Oh, nice. I like it. It's pretty good.
That's okay. I'll edit
Pretty
it.
good.
I'll edit my ruining it out.
All right.
Now just leave it. It's fine. Because you know what? The punch wasn't there when I said it. And the lack of surprise. So
The funny thing, we went to the American History Museum 2 years ago, and you walk in, the first thing you see is like a scale replica of Plymouth Rock, and we just kind of look at each other and we're like, really? Yeah. So, Hanna, I hear you have a joke about Plymouth Rock. So tell us about the Plymouth Rock. Educate me on Plymouth Rock.
Plymouth Rock or The Rock.
Only if you're local.
Yeah, only if you're local. If you aren't from here, don't call it that.
Yeah.
So everyone knows that the Pilgrims didn't first land. Well, I actually should adjust that statement because I told several people this the other day and they were stunned. Pilgrims landed in P-Town first,
Right.
or Providence.
I feel like most people, if you don't, it's one of those, you're too close to it to realize what normal people know.
Yeah.
I'd say even outside of Massachusetts, I would guarantee like 99% people think they probably landed in Plymouth.
Right.
Yeah.
So they didn't like it there. They were like, let's move on. And they made their way over to Plymouth. So they landed in P-Town in mid-November, November 16th. Semantics might say otherwise on the date, but and made their way to Plymouth by December 21st is the most common date that's recorded anywhere. So
the most common date, but not the only date?
correct, not the only date. I've seen December 16th, of them arriving in the harbor.
So they just get back on the boat and land again?
I think they maybe hung out for a little bit, had some snacks, got fresh air, and I don't know, what. I don't know why the dates are so varying, but they are. And December 21st is the most common one I've seen.
Okay.
So we'll stick with that.
And I think that's what most, I think that's when the 400th.
Yes, that's
celebration
what it is.
scheduled.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. I know. I should have just probably looked at the Plymouth page for 400.
Which is also what Plymouth people call the Plymouth 400 celebration. 400.
400. So the first steps on the Rock is also a highly debated thing. William Bradford, or Governor William Bradford, is recorded as being the first person on the Rock. He was also the one that has written out the recordings and travels of the Mayflower and the first events.
So that's a little sketchy.
Yeah, right?
I was the first one to do it.
But it also makes the most sense that he was the first one to do it.
Yeah.
He was still the one in charge on the Mayflower. So a couple other theories, and really it's hard rumor everywhere you look. It says it's rumor that Mary Chilton and John Alden were the first two to step off their shallop onto the Rock.
So shallop?
It's, I think, a dinghy.
Yeah.
Yeah, essentially. What we would call a dinghy.
Yeah,
But-
see, I feel like Bradford would be an unlikely person because he's not going to be the person actually physically rowing the boat.
Well,
he's in charge.
There's many people on the boat. A
Yeah.
shallop fits many people, so someone's probably rowing the boat. And
But
then,
you figured, like, that's probably the guy that's going to jump out first to kind of, like,
I don't know. I mean,
steady it for the...
who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah,
he was letting someone else go first in case there was, like, hostile
Oh, maybe.
interaction. I don't know.
Those rocks can be hostile fish.
Just push some other guys. Like, hey, you go first, and let me know if there are arrows.
Yeah, so
luck.
the topography of Plymouth waterfront was obviously completely different from what it is now.
Fewer bars.
A few bars. Well, not just the rock, but the whole downtown area. It was a natural harbor. It was wilderness. So they really could have landed on any rock. If you look in our harbor, there's hundreds of large boulders in it that help keep up the actual waterfront landscape. And any one of those could have been the rock. So is this the rock? Maybe. I don't know, but maybe not.
Maybe not.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So looking at that, it's really hard to say who the first person was. We're going with William Bradford. That's like actually in recording.
Yeah.
The rumor about Mary Chilton and John Alden is because of a really famed painting, The Landing of the Pilgrims.
Yeah.
Which they think is of Mary Chilton and John Alden.
Well, who was already on the ground painting the painting?
Oh, so that was painted in 1877.
So obviously not first.
No, like a couple hundred years after the fact. It's hanging in Pilgrim Hall Museum.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, with a lot of other really cool paintings from that guy from that time. So, following so far?
Yes.
All right.
I'm
Yeah,
on board.
It's pretty straightforward. Let me see where we're at. So, the boring stuff about the rock is pretty much over. Really semantics.
Yeah.
Now we're going to flash forward to 1741.
Okay. Why that year?
It's a big year for Plymouth Rock. In fact, it's the year for Plymouth Rock. Really, it was just a rock before this year happened. And it's all thanks to our boy, Thomas Fonce.
Okay.
Have you guys ever heard of him?
No.
Technically, yes, but
But-
not before like an hour ago.
Yeah, okay, yeah. It's Elder Thomas Fonce. He's called Elder because he's one of the last elders of the Church of Plymouth, the first church in Plymouth, and he's literally one of the original dudes from it. And he's old as hell. He's 95
Wow.
in 1741.
So, but I also heard that there's, and this is kind of a segue to something else, that a lot of that, like, people didn't live as long back then, which is sort of true, but a lot of it's looking at average age, and there's so
Yeah.
many infant deaths that it drove the...
It drove it to middle age.
It drove it to middle age, really.
Yeah, there was this tendency where if you made it to 5, you were golden,
yeah.
but you probably weren't going to make it to 5.
Yeah.
So it's one of those.
Yeah, newborns are fragile.
Yeah.
But I mean, still, even today, like, 90's pretty...
95
95
is old.
Yeah.
Oh
period.
yeah, my grandfather made it to 94. My great grandmother made it to 99. One of my
You got good genes.
one
going
of my
on.
great grandmothers made it to 106, and she had a world record for age at one point.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Nice.
And then my great Nana Rose. Yeah, she was 105 when she died.
Damn.
So I'm like really hauling the cigarettes
you
to cut my
got-
time short.
I'll show you.
It's like I'm hitting 75 and that's it. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I don't smoke cigarettes.
So, back to the rock. What made that year so significant?
So this was the year they started to develop the land on the waterfront. So it really wasn't much more than a road, really bad road at that. And what they were using it for was to start building up for the industrial age. So
Yeah.
it was a lot of industries, factories working off Town Brook and the water from the ocean to power whatever they had going on.
And Plymouth wasn't a tourist destination.
No, it wasn't. This was very much like an economy of industry at
Yeah.
that time. So Plymouth was looking to profit off that as much as possible and build up. So a wharf was planned to be built in front of Coles Hill, which is where the rock is. Coles Hill being right behind it. Which I should add, the Pilgrims did land and it's noted that they landed in front of Coles Hill.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
So that's
they
legit.
aimed for that. It
Yeah.
wasn't like they landed any which way down the harbor.
They're like, ooh, look at those condos.
They're like, yeah, they aimed for like a high point. So Coles Hill was in fact a hill. How built up it was, obviously not to the extent now, or
Right.
what the natural incline of it was, I don't know, but there was a hill there. So it was supposed to be filled in to create a new wharf. Not like what we have today, which are just like wooden docks.
Right.
We don't even have a good example. Have you guys ever been to Salem?
Sure.
The
Yeah.
wharfs out there, like that, like long strips of land.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know what
Yeah.
you're talking about. Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's kind of what lined downtown at the time.
Yeah.
And what they were planning on doing with that area. So Tommy Fonts was just distraught hearing that they were going to be developing this area. And at the age of 95, it says that he acquired a chair. I don't know what that means, but
Okay.
I'm like, did like young lads just go and get him and like carry him down to the waterfront?
I'd assume it would be like a sedan
like a-
chair kind of thing.
Or like a carriage? I don't know.
Yeah, but yeah, like just a chair, but with like handles for carrying.
Right?
Because he's a 95-year-old man, and they're not going to make him.
Oh, okay.
down
I'm
to
like,
the
I don't
waterfront.
get it. Like, why would... No, that makes sense now.
It's like
Yeah.
a
Right.
wheelchair, but instead of wheels, they have strapping young men.
That's what I was.
Wheels then?
I'm not gonna lie.
chair
I
did.
imagined that. I was
Yeah.
like, just like young dudes showing up at this guy's house. So they're like that times Uber. You rented a chair, sir. We're here.
Your chair's here.
Yeah.
So you say that,
Are
but
you
that
Fonz?
was a thing for a very long time in
Yeah.
like cities. That's not uncommon.
Yeah, so he got one of those. He lived 3 miles away. It doesn't say where in Plymouth. I'd be interested to know from like which direction he came from, just for my own personal interest. But it doesn't say where he came from. And this was a big deal for the town. They were like, this old dude is like making a scene and is coming down to the waterfront. We're gonna figure out what's going on with him. So he shows up. He's super emotional. And just really shares his story and why he's connected to this random rock that he's pointing out in the waterfront, and why they're trying to plead with them. We'll say goodbye and kind of make a plea for the rock to be saved.
Yeah.
So, like I said, the rock wasn't a thing, and there was really nothing notable about it beforehand. It wasn't picked out from the crowd. It was just part of the scenery.
It was just a rock, yeah.
And Elder Thomas Fonts told them about his father and being a boy in the early 1600s. So when was this dude born? 1620. His father arrived in 1623, so
Yeah.
3 years after the Pilgrims on the ship Anne. And Thomas was born...
Well, it's 1741 minus
do the math.
95, so...
I forgot my abacus.
Sorry.
I actually...
1646?
I do have it written down. Yeah, that's exactly...
Something like that?
1647.
No,
There you
not
go.
Yeah.
So he was born in 1647. He actually knew some of the original Pilgrims
bad. Oh, okay.
from the Mayflower. So Thomas had firsthand accounts from Pilgrims who traveled over and landed. And apparently his father would walk with him on the waterfront and point to the rock and say, "This is a quote."
This is
So
an exact quote? Okay.
I think so.
All
From
right.
from
Historically speaking,
Yes.
as much as any quote is historic,
so
accurate.
that the rock was the one to receive the footsteps of their fathers on their arrival, or their first arrival. So,
Oh, okay.
like that rock. And he said his father used to, hang out with him by the rock and just tell him how important it was. So, Thomas Fonts was just really moved and laid this all out to the crowd, apparently. And then everyone else...
And they were like, okay, boomer.
Yeah. Everyone else was just like, this guy's so old, and he's like, he knew them, so he's probably right. And I guess let's save this rock.
In my head, that's exactly how confident they sounded, too.
Well, yeah, it's the secondhand memories
of a
of a
95-year-old guy.
95-year-old guy
Yeah. Oh, he's so
remembering stuff that his dad told him when he was a kid about people who got there before his dad got there.
Yeah.
This is
Sounds
like
about right.
this is my uncle who works for Nintendo level trustworthy.
So, on top of that, this account wasn't recorded by news or press or anything at the time. It was recanted by a spooner. I forget which one, but he's like the great grandson of one of the original spooners. So, he recanted it to the press, but not at the time. And
Later.
And he was like 12 when he did this.
Okay.
So we just went from like one really crazy source that was kind of unreliable
So,
to
wait.
now a child.
So it went from
So,
a 95-year-old
from
to a
a 95-year-old
12-year-old.
man-
This is like the weirdest game of telephone ever.
As told to a 12-year-old, as told to somebody else. Oh, this is...
Yeah.
I love games of telephone. This is great.
So yeah, it was. It's
So it's
legit.
100% the real rock.
Yes.
I swear. But he pointed to this rock, and everyone recognized it as the rock of some significance, and he saved the rock. He died like shortly afterwards, so I think it was like his like dying wish.
So what did they do with it after that?
The rock, they raised it and built the wharf. So that
they
rock
just,
was
like-
saved and buried all of its friends.
Did they just built the wharf like over it, didn't they?
Yeah.
So it's like
No. Well, the
Or,
rock
like, a-
was up on the land, so
Oh,
people
okay.
could see, like, touch it and
Yeah.
feel it.
But it's-
I don't-
take souvenirs.
But it
Yeah.
wasn't where it is now, right? It was some...
No, it's in the vicinity, actually.
Yeah.
Still in front of Coles Hill. Maybe shifted around a little bit, but not by a whole lot in the area.
'Cause I feel like I've seen pictures of like an old monument that was there like on the other side of the street.
Yeah, it's like the street almost wasn't there, and it's moved a little closer inland and further to, what's that, Brewster Street?
Yeah.
Right
Yeah,
there?
I think so.
Not Brewster. Well, closer to the gift shops.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So just a little bit over. In that vicinity, though.
Yeah.
Don't worry, it does a whole lot of moving.
All right. So well, we're kind of
getting
jumping
there.
the gun here.
All right, so we're up to 1741.
Yes.
Well, we're up to a 12-year-old's memories of 1741.
Right.
1753.
Well, he was
No,
12.
the other way.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Like,
He was 12 in
So, like,
17.
Oh, I got you.
So,
if you want to say when this random cotton was born, which now we have.
so now we know the rock is saved, and for many years, it just sat there and was not really looked at as still not a very special thing for Plymouth. It
Right.
was just passed by people. Like, it was in a really hustling, bustling place in town, and people hung out on it, but it wasn't like it
was just a rock.
was still just pretty much a rock.
Yeah.
They knew it was the rock, and they knew it was like the landing spot. Like, it had coined its name for like having the first step from the Pilgrims.
Mm-hmm.
So that was all established, and it wasn't until 1774 that this rock's life really kicked it into full gear. Like, revolution was in the air,
Yeah.
and this rock was ready to be a part of it.
Okay.
Well, people were ready to make the rock a part of it.
Okay.
So have you heard anything about this at all?
No,
this is like
this
honestly
is all news
the
to
most
me.
impressive part
This is them
of the
trying
rock.
to move it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't know why they tried to move it.
I
This
know.
I know they tried. I know it kind of didn't work.
Yep.
I don't know why they thought this was going to be a good idea.
Okay. Here's why.
Okay.
So it once
Does it have to do with the revolution?
it has everything to do with the revolution and
Okay.
only to do with the revolution, and it played a really big key role in the revolution, which I didn't really know for up until a little while ago.
I'm
Okay.
really interested in this. 'Cause
Yeah,
this
this is really interesting.
this is going to be my favorite little bit of absurd trivia for a while.
Okay, so Patriots used to use the Rock as like a little stage downtown and would pose like
So instead of like a soapbox, they would stand on the. Okay,
they'd
that's
use
cool.
the Rock, and they were like, "This is the first step like to America, and I'm here to say like, F you England, and America is great, and all that stuff."
Yeah.
But, revolution talk.
Yeah.
So, at one point in 1774, a bunch of patriots, and I mean Plymouth was like for it. They were
Yeah.
like, let's split this up. This isn't good. For the most part, obviously, there's going to be some people on the other side, but I mean, we had the Liberty pole set up in front of the meeting house, and a Liberty pole was a sign that, like, your area was ready to be America and not part of England. So they decided that to really show a sign of patriotism, they were going to move the rock, the first step into America, from where it was, like it's bedding down on the waterfront, up to the Liberty pole, which is in front of the first meeting house, like in front of the old church.
Oh, yeah.
By School Street.
Yeah, where the Christmas shrub is.
Yes, where our tree is.
Oh, tree, right. Sure, that's sort of a tree.
The Christmas shrub.
Yeah.
Right in that area.
Okay.
So that's where the Liberty pole was. And
so this is a rock that essentially hasn't moved since Mother Nature put it there.
other than them, they did lift it to build the wharf. But really hasn't. So they gathered a 20 yoke of oxen.
Okay.
That's what they call it.
That sounds like a lot.
That's a lot of oxen.
Okay.
It's a lot of oxen. The yoke, I think, is just like how they like a murder of crows kind of thing. It's
well, the yoke is the thing that like straps them in. Yeah.
Oh, I was like, is that what they call like a group of oxen?
No, that's a herd.
I don't know.
Like a yoke is it. I think for a yoke, I think it's a pair because they're kind of like next to each other with that wooden thing over their shoulders.
Right. And the wooden thing's
thing
the
over
yoke.
the shoulder is a yoke.
Yeah. I only went as
So it'd
far
be like 40
as my
oxen.
assumptions.
Okay.
So,
That's
yes.
fine. That's why we're here.
So
I know things too.
So you figure 20 yoke is probably at least 40,
right?
Yeah.
unless a yoke is 4, and then that's a lot of oxen.
So
It is a lot.
It's a lot of oxen.
That's a lot of oxen.
On Water Street, still in the Coles Hill area, and they had some sort of a carriage or cart.
Like a sledge.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
And I don't think it really saw much action. So as soon as they tried to pull it out, they harnessed it with huge screws, which if you've been and seen the rock up close, there's screw holes at the bottom.
Oh, okay. I never really
noticed, because usually it's just, the rock, and then I move on because I've been drinking.
Yeah. So, they're there. They're at, like, kind of closer to the bottom of it.
Yeah.
And so tried to harness it, chains, ropes, the oxen, the yokes, they had it all. So they were starting to pull it, and it immediately split the rock in half.
They were like, hold my beer.
Yeah. I don't think it really got too far, or like to his point, might not have been like a carriage. I don't think they were trying to lift it. They were just trying to get it onto something to drag. Exactly. Yeah. So, and it doesn't say exactly like how long, but I like to imagine that they started to pull and ripped it in half. That's just like...
And just snapped it?
Yep.
And of course, one guy's like, I told you!
Okay, and for the record, because I needed to look this up,
a yoke of oxen is 2
oxen.
Okay. There we go.
I feel better now.
I feel great about that. So, the rock is now split, and you would think that this would just really put a solemn attitude on this whole moment, and it did actually the opposite. It invigorated the spirit of patriotism.
Yay, we broke a historical thing.
So, superstition. Crazy back then.
Okay.
They took it as an omen that the separation between Britain and the United States was meant to be.
Okay. I have never been so proud.
That is some great PR right
I've
there.
never been so proud of the guy who, on the spot, came up with that line of just utter PS. It's like, no, guys, this is a great thing. Because it's splitting off like we're splitting off from England. Yeah, that's great. We're going to go run with that one.
Mm-hmm. Precisely what happened.
Super impressed by whoever came up with that, because that is some on-the-spot work.
Yeah, thinking on their toes. So, that moment was not ruined. And The Rock, they liked it better that way, apparently. So, they left the bottom half where it was and said, you stay here. You're good. And they took the top half up to where they had planned to bring it. And really, none of their plan was spoiled. It truly just got better.
I mean, and really, you only need the part of the rock they stepped on, and that's the top.
Now we have two rocks.
The bottom half was England. The top was America.
No one steps on the bottom of Plymouth Rock. They all stepped on the top. We got the top.
Yep, that's true.
I think we're fine.
The rock is top full.
I would really like to see a reenactment of this now. Get like 40 oxen onto Water Street right now and have them drag like a replica top half of Plymouth Rock up to the...
We do it for the
Christmas
400.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be fun.
All right, Andy, we got to pitch that.
All right.
We know people.
I'll
We can make this
I'll get
happen.
on that.
We are making
I don't
this
have an
happen.
oxen person, though.
Yet.
What about 40 alpacas?
I will accept that.
That would be.
The cutest thing ever.
Oh my god. So this news became widespread through all the colonies, states. I think at this time they're referring to them as states mostly. So news of it was put into papers around the country, and everyone was just jazzed on this rock, and they were like, yes, this is meant to be. We are going to do this, and the revolution is happening. Like, truly took it
Wow.
as a sign that it was all going to work out. Like,
That's crazy.
I know,
Yeah.
because of the rock splitting.
Huh.
Because and I quote, there's a quote from a book that says the rock split in half, and like pretty much we don't know why it seemed like everything would work.
I mean, we were drilling holes in it and dragging it around and stuff, but like, that couldn't have been it.
Yeah, but it's a rock. Rocks are tough.
It seemed foolproof. We don't know what happened. So, yeah. It was really taken as a symbol of the time and a symbol of patriotism. And the pieces of the rock were, not pieces, the two pieces, but smaller pieces were broken off and sent to several towns out of state, sent as like goodwill for
Yeah.
the revolution to be ignited. And it was a really big deal when it happened. So, from that point on, after the revolution, the war like kind of subsided. The rock, it started to see its downfall.
I mean, it's not in two pieces now, though.
Yeah,
Okay.
correct.
Okay.
Stayed in two pieces for a long time. And I don't want to say was forgotten about, but was neglected. The top half up by the meeting house was really just abused by anyone that went by it, chipped off. People were taking souvenirs.
Yeah.
And they were... you know what, to be honest, they don't talk a lot about the bottom half in any source I found.
No one cares.
Yeah, it truly... They were
At
like,
all.
this one
It
is
is-
not the one.
it's-
It's all the top.
Is that where we get the term rock bottom from?
Sure.
Could
I don't
you...
know.
No, wait. That would be really
That-
cool.
That would be super cool. But I don't think that's what it is.
No, I don't
but-
think so either.
Yeah, it's fine.
Let's put it in the books. It's
All right.
fine. No one
It's
really
cool.
knows
We'll
where it's
update
from.
we'll update a Wikipedia page, and it'll be a fact in 6 months.
Oh my gosh. So, like I said, the top half was left, like, not anywhere close, as far as downtown is concerned, not anywhere close to the bottom, and left to the vultures of what is people just passing by and wanting a piece. And they weren't wanting a piece to, like, destroy it. They wanted a piece because they still were, like, we're a new country, this was part of it.
Right. I
want a
mean,
piece of
people
it.
They're
do stuff
taking-
like that all the time.
Yeah,
They're taking
exactly.
souvenirs.
Exactly.
Like, people have chunks of the Berlin Wall. It's kind of the same thing.
So it wasn't until 1834 that they actually moved the top half into the Pilgrim Hall Museum. And it was, they did like the exact opposite of where it was before, open to the public. It was locked up,
No one saw it?
not anywhere. Well, people could see it,
Oh, okay.
but like you couldn't go anywhere near it. It was like they finally realized they let something go abused for so long and tried to...
Like the half of the rock or whatever that's left from the top.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, we're running out of this. We should
Yeah,
probably
yeah,
put
exactly.
this away
They
before
were like,
someone-
this looks... It's getting smaller, guys.
Like, there was
Like,
a lot... Wasn't there a lot more of this at one point?
So that is actually the case. It lost the top half lost an entire third
Wow.
Jeez.
from the time that it was left up there, like during the revolution, during the revolution, and then afterwards until it went into Pilgrim Hall. So wasn't until 1867 that they built what was the first canopy over the bottom half of the rock, and then they conjoined the two pieces together in 1880.
Super glue?
You could say. I was told it's like a bond. They call it like a
Like,
bonding. Concrete.
Some sort of cementy kind of...
I called it concrete and cement, and my friend said it's bond. And I was
it's
like,
like that doesn't
I
help.
don't know what that means.
Yeah.
What's it made out of? Rocks? More rocks? Like, it's concrete.
It's concrete.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they super glued the two pieces together, and that's that's when it officially got stamped with the 1620 etching. And the new canopy downtown was built right when factories were kind of dwindling.
Yeah.
The businesses that we had built Plymouth Wharf and waterfront area on were starting to close, and Plymouth was discovering tourism as its economy.
Right.
So just the beginning. It's not anything like crazy, but they did start to bring a lot of the infrastructure down. And the Plymouth Rock was photographed for postcards, and there was one of the first photoshopped postcards of a teddy bear on the Plymouth Rock.
Why?
Teddy bears were big at the time.
Oh, so it's just
why not just put a teddy bear on the rock?
that also why.
That's like, oh, a teddy bear on Plymouth Rock. That's cute.
Yeah.
You couldn't just put a teddy bear on the rock?
And it's funny because at this time it was open to the public. It was the cage that you could walk through and really touch the rock and line up to see it. And
it just seems like it would take it's like you guys did it the hard way. A lot.
Yeah,
I think someone was they wanted a project and they gave themselves one.
They took a picture of it and someone would be like, "Oh, it'd be cool, there's a teddy bear on it." And it's not you can take photos like you can now, so they're like,
so it's
great.
Well, I don't have 3 more hours to kill on exposure, so fine.
So I just thought that was really cute and funny because why? Why?
It's very weird.
Yeah. I like to imagine that was one of the first memes of that time, and people saw it and they were like, "Oh my god!"
Just a rock with a teddy bear on it.
Yeah.
It's I don't get it, but it's hilarious.
Yeah, exactly. So, like I said, the rock was a lot smaller by the time it was joined back together. They say that it lost, oh my god, thousands of pounds from all of its movement.
From being broken and
literally
broken meat,
yes.
dragged up a hill,
yes.
being souvenir shops,
and just weathered over time.
Yeah, being dragged back down the hill.
Everything all together.
Yeah, it's a rock.
Yes, it's gonna go through some stuff. So the revamp of Plymouth downtown happened in 1920. So that's the park that we know today, for the most part.
Yeah.
That's when the economy really started basing itself around tourism. That's when our lovely canopy over the rock was built and has been there. I don't know, minor constructions, but it's been the same one ever since.
It's a centennial.
Yeah. Exactly. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. It's a Roman Doric portico style. So it really just means from the Roman era.
Yeah, it looks that kind of
right?
Roman.
Colosseum.
Yeah.
Doric, it's a description of how the columns are made.
Exactly.
You're a Doric.
Yes.
So obviously we know what that looks like today. The rock it was built to sit at sea level. That may have adjusted itself over time. It's about 5-ish feet down. It sits in the shoreline.
Sometimes it floods with water.
It gets some water in there.
Yeah, that's how tides work.
Yeah.
I think it accommodates for tourists well. Have you guys ever been in the pit?
No.
They don't let random... Wait, do they let
Are
random
you admitting
people in
to
the
a
pit?
crime?
Who do I talk to get in the pit?
I don't know.
You don't have to talk to anyone. You just go.
How do I talk to people about getting in the pit and not getting arrested after?
Oh, you can make it in and out. It's fine. I don't know who's done it. Many times. But,
the Old Colony cast is not condoning anyone to climb into the pit.
No, I never have.
The Plymouth Rock. It is nature's most violent and angry predator.
Once you... There's ways to calm it down. No.
Well, think about it. No one who stepped on Pilgrim Rock is alive today.
Right?
No comment?
Can't argue with that, so that's science right there. But, somewhere along the lines, people began throwing coins at it.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. How did that start? Is that a real tradition? Or?
No, I think it started as soon as it was at a level to throw something at.
Yeah.
So
as soon as you could look at it funny and say, "Ooh, wishing well,"
it kind of has a wishing well feel to it.
Yeah, as soon as you can throw something down at it.
Also, you're not allowed to throw coins down there. It's a form of littering.
People do it
all the time. And you will get chastised by the state employees down
really?
there
Huh.
saying, it's a $20,000 fine.
I just assumed
$20,000
this is
and
one of
25
those
cents,
like
thank you.
how places have kind of like conditioned us. Like I have always assumed like people go and throw coins down there, and you're like, oh, it must be like a donation thing.
Oh, no,
how
yeah.
they help maintain the blah blah.
That definitely just goes into people's pockets who go down there and get the
clean it
change.
out.
Oh, that's
That's disappointing.
Yeah, well, people gotta eat. I don't know.
how Hannah paid for college. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you are not actually allowed to, and I have been yelled at for doing it. It's not $20,000. That's a really big exaggeration, but it does go up over 1,000. I forget what it was. I was in school when she yelled at me. I don't know. I felt really bad about it. And I haven't thrown a coin in there since.
Wow.
Obviously, there's been debate over where the first landing was.
Yes.
I don't even call it a debate. We know they landed in P-Town and then they came here, but it's more of a fight. Somewhere, I forget when exactly, like 1950s, 60s, P-Town like tried to fight us over who should have rights to like the first landing spot, which is where they erected the Pilgrim Monument.
Yep. Which is
so
why you
they
get a
have
lot of people
that.
say Plymouth is the first permanent settlement.
Well, that's like has to do with Jamestown too.
Yeah. Oh, right.
Yeah. And what other the one that disappeared?
Roanoke.
Yeah, Krakatoa. What do they say? What did they leave behind?
Croatoa.
Krakatoa.
Krakatoa.
I don't remember the details.
What happened? We
the
left and
funny
went to a
details.
volcano. It's like, what happened? Well, we weren't eating, so we decided to go to an island in the South Pacific and hope it doesn't explode. And then it exploded.
Yeah, well, now we know where they went. I think
Yes.
they really just had a spelling error.
Well, we kind of know where they said where they went. They just kind of like interbred with the Indians.
Yeah.
Because they were dying, and why not?
Yeah. Hey, when in Rome. So, that's been a big, hot debate. It's been, no one has cared about it since that happened, though.
Yeah.
On 2 occasions, the rock has been fully buried by Indian rights activists.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And one time in 1970 and another time in 1995 on Thanksgiving. So we know that they protest the Thanksgiving Day parade every year.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this was done like actually on Thanksgiving in protest of, the first landing and whatnot and all the things they have rights to protest.
Right, yeah.
But I thought that was really cool because I had no idea that happened.
It's first in like 95,
95,
I feel like I would have heard of that.
I know.
Yeah.
Like,
I was
that's-
like, what?
And you live here.
I know. I was really little when that happened,
Yeah.
though. The news wasn't my bag at the time,
Yeah.
so probably wasn't keeping up with it. Just trying to learn how to read and stuff. So,
I hate this game. Let's not do the Where Were You in 95 game.
Were you in college?
Yes.
So pieces are still out there. Of bigger pieces of the Plymouth Rock are
So
still
the pieces
out there.
that were sent out as like Goodwill are still kicking
Yes,
around?
revolutionary
Yeah.
pieces are still out there. So one is at the Smithsonian. Another one is at the Plymouth Church of Pilgrims in Brooklyn, which is like an extension of the church that existed in Plymouth.
Yeah.
Which Brooklyn I thought was really funny.
That's weird, yeah. Like I
Right?
wouldn't think that.
Like I've been to Brooklyn. It's
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't see a lot of Puritans or anything, so it must be.
We don't really
Well,
have
not
any
now.
left.
It must have probably a different vibe now,
Yeah.
but I was like, huh, okay. And then the last piece is at the Pilgrim Hall Museum. So,
Oh, okay.
Which makes sense.
and
Yeah.
I wouldn't. That's all that's listed. But I wouldn't be shocked if like the Historical Society has.
And
a piece
I wouldn't
or
be
something,
surprised if like
so.
a bunch of the random towns they sent them to like didn't still have them, but don't really
like they might not even know what it is. Imagine
like
if it just wasn't recorded.
This is a rock.
It's probably
What is
just
it? I don't know,
some
it's a rock.
doorstop in some guy's office.
Oh my god, that's been there forever.
Like it's been in the yard for like 95 years, and
Yeah.
no one knows why. They just couldn't get rid of it because it's like half buried.
Yeah, they've run it over. I've broken many lawnmowers on it. So it's still out there as a revolutionary memento, but not really known for it, which I think is really the disjustice of the rock. Because I think if people understood that part of it, they might find
Yeah, I
it a
gotta say,
little more interesting.
Like that is something I've never
Yeah, I mean,
It never comes up. Like, I knew they broke it. I knew they broke it dragging it uphill, but I didn't know why they were dragging it uphill.
Yeah, just
It
a bunch
never
of
gets mentioned.
enthusiastic patriots having a time.
Yeah, it's not really something they lean into, which, considering how visible the rock is, and the fact that everyone who comes down here ends up there, it would be nice to give it a little more cachet, because right now it's you go to the rock and go, oh, and then you kind of move on, and it's apparently more interesting than that, and it deserves to be sold better.
I think so, and I mean, in the defense of the people who run the park and build the signs, I don't think I've read the sign to Plymouth Rock.
nope, never. Nope, never.
So
It probably says, like, if you read this and call this number, you will get $5,000.
Oh my God! Can you
No
imagine?
one would read it.
So they could drop some stuff, but I really don't think they do. I think it's really this was the first landing place.
And frankly, that's the least interesting part of the story.
By far. I don't even think they recognize where it was named by Thomas Fonts. To me, that's interesting enough, because I'm sure a lot of people leave it going, everyone says it's just a rock. Like, how do they know this is the rock?
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It is just
It
a
is
rock.
just a rock.
But it's
not a rock, it's the rock.
rock.
Yeah, but it's like anything is just a rock. It's just it gets meaning later, and that's kind of how mythologizing works. It's the value, it's the meaning and the value that we add to it later in life that gives something import. So was it important at the time? No. Is it important now? Honestly, not as important as it should be.
I think it's undersold.
It is very undersold.
The revolutionary part to me, I think, is far more interesting. It's not only like, quote unquote, the landing spot where people came that founded this nation, but in the same aspect, it also kicked off the revolution that founded this nation. Like, it's the Forrest Gump of rocks.
It's a founding.
Yeah, it's the Forrest Gump of American.
I'm going out on a limb. It's a founding father.
It's the Forrest Gump of American history.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Right place, right time. That guy.
Yeah.
That rock.
That
Right
rock.
place, right time. That rock. Just sitting there waiting to be important again.
Good rock. Local rock. Known him a long time. So I mean that's really where we come to a closing to the rock that we know and love, kind of today. I mean, closing notes on it. It's a symbol to more than anyone really understands that just sees it and throws a coin at it and gets yelled at and then leaves.
I was just kind of peeking at Yelp, and the reviews vary greatly from, it being very moving and historic to that's it.
Yeah.
But again, without the story, it's not impressive.
Yeah.
It's the story that makes it impressive.
So to lay some, just actual age on the rock, it's 600 million years old. It's a Dedham granite rock. And it was brought to the shoreline with all of its other rock friends 20,000 years ago by glacier activity.
Yeah, that's kind of what I figured.
It's a typical Wikipedia explanation of what the rock is that I grabbed. Honestly, I had no idea about any of that. So I knew it was granite because of a lot of the rocks are around here. But I mean, I think it's a special rock. It has a good spot in my heart.
Any closing thoughts on the rockfish?
Honestly, I think I just gave my closing thought. It's a lot more. I mean, even as someone who is a history nerd, excuse me, I'm talking.
Sorry, I can agree with you.
Don't cut me off.
Go ahead.
I have enough trouble talking during these as is. Stop.
Okay.
I will cut your mic off.
Go.
So, even as someone who is a history nerd, it's like a lot of this stuff is stuff that I had never heard, and it's stuff that, honestly, when you're trying to push a town as a historical tourist location, like, tying it to the American Revolution is a huge deal, and they're not doing nearly enough of it to make it, like, they're not doing enough to connect it to that, and it's kind of a shame.
I'd agree. My opinion of The Rock has changed greatly. Because, initially I was very much that guy who'd be like, that's it. It's a big disappointment. You know from the scavenger hunt we did, it was 3 points to get your picture with Plymouth Rock, because I was like, meh.
No way.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean-
I don't remember the points. So
And
yeah.
also, it's easy.
It is super easy.
Yeah.
But I
I'd
believe it
call
said,
it hard.
ha ha, I get it.
So this is where I
The
insure
rock is hard.
This is where I insure the frame shot, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Um,
I've been sitting on that sound clip for months.
that was
I
great.
never get to use
I
it.
like that. That's
Thank
a good
you.
one. So I think that wraps up our rock episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to very much key into if people say The Rock or Plymouth Rock, because I've never heard that before.
I mean, honestly, it's just from my experience,
Yeah.
and I could completely be wrong and just have talked to the
I think
wrong
you're right,
people.
though. Like, is
Like
yeah.
When you said it, it's like, yeah, I can see that.
Yes.
Yeah,
'Cause-
Plymouth Rock, the Rock.
The Rock.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because for everyone in Plymouth, it's like we're already in Plymouth,
Yeah.
I don't need to like
and there's
name
only one
it again.
rock.
It's like
but
saying
if you're-
ATM machine.
Yeah,
You're saying ATM, automatic teller machine.
yeah.
So,
or like pin number.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad I don't say those things now. You just brought it up.
So, Hannah, thank you for informing us.
Well, thanks for
I
having
feel like
me.
we are smarter, and hopefully our listeners are smarter. And we'll catch you guys on the next episode of the Old Colony Cast, when we will talk about something else. I don't know what we're going to talk about yet. So we'll figure it out.
We will.
Yeah. It'll be, hopefully, I mean, just as educational. And we'll change our opinion on something else. Oh, we should totally use that meme.
The teddy bear on the rock.
No, like the meme of the guy sitting
I mean,
behind the table,
yes.
being like, the Plymouth Rock's cool. Change my
mind.
opinion. Change my mind.
Oh,
or something
okay.
like that.
Followed
right?
up by the teddy bear on the rock.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna
We'll
make
put the teddy bear behind the table.
We're gonna make
Yeah.
Teddy Bear
Yeah.
on the Rock
All right.
a thing.
All right, we'll have to make that meme up
We need
before this
T-shirts.
episode.
That's gonna be a T-shirt.
What?
Teddy Bear on Plymouth Rock.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We know
All right.
people.
Thanks for listening, guys, and we'll catch you in the next episode. Thanks for listening to the podcast. You can find us on all social medias at Inebri-art, except for Instagram, we're at Inebri-art6. You can email us with your questions, complaints, and whatnot at Inebri-art@yahoo.com. And if you're looking for more podcasts, you can check out the other podcasts on our network, Retro Redoctopus, America's Hometown Horror, and, of course, Bar Talk, Old Colony, and Inebri-art Podcast, the original. So check those out and subscribe and comment so we can reach more people, and thanks for listening.